Welcome in, folks. Welcome back to College Baseball Central. This is the Pac-12 preview for the tournament preview here, folks. For all of you who are just watching us over about the SEC and all the earlier who caught us for the ACC preview show, this one's Pac-12. Okay, we're going to be breaking it down for all your folks. Very excited here. It's also a sad day because it is the last bit of Pac-12 baseball that we're ever going to see. But I'm excited for this tournament. I'm excited for this preview here. There's a lot of good baseball left to be played. We got 1 week left of Pac-12 baseball. Let's get after it, folks. Let's be thankful that we have this last week of college baseball to get into. So, for those of you who don't know, Pac-12 is a different kind of tournament. It is three pools. You got Pool A, Pool B, and Pool C, right? So the number one seed is Arizona, number two seed is Oregon State, number three seed is Oregon. Then you break it back down. The four seed jumps in with Oregon in Pool C as USC. Pool B is Arizona State with Oregon State. And number six team is Cal with Arizona. And then the ninth place team, Washington, joins Arizona in Pool A. Stanford joins Pool B with Oregon State as the eight seed. And the seven seed, Utah, jumps in Pool C. You must win your round robin pool. If there is a complete tiebreak, 1-1-1-1, then the highest seed goes on. And then the next highest seed, which would be number four, USC, would advance with those teams and make it a four-team bracket single elimination. So the maximum amount of games that you will play this week is four. So that's if you win your pool, you advance to the semifinals, you win, and you go to the championship game, the maximum you will play is four. This is a big tournament. It means a lot for some of these teams, right? So when I break down the bracketology, and I look and see which teams does this matter the most to, Arizona probably in, right? They won the Pac-12 regular season title. They have a good enough record. They're sitting, they've done enough to be reasonable, right? At 33-20, they went 20-10 in the Pac-12. They're there. You put them in. Oregon State, obviously in. They're in for a host, most likely. Be nice to at least go win one game here this weekend or this week. Oregon State most likely is in a host. They're playing for a national seed is what they're playing for. Oregon is right there on that bubble. Okay, so their RPI, their ranking, they're just outside of being a host team, so they're also locked in. Unless something crazy were to happen, they go 0-2 and get just crushed in both games. I don't see that happening for the Ducks. Even if they happen to go 0-2 in this tournament, I believe that they're going to be in. The question is, how many more teams get in, right? You look at it, it's not an easy thing to look at. USC, who finished fourth, is 28-27 overall. That's tough to say, hey, you're in. You're a team that's in. You finished fourth, you have 17-12 record in the 29 games you played in Pac-12 play. You're in. That's not probably the case. More than likely, I mean, they're going to have to do something in this tournament to really put themselves in. At this point, I think they're going to have to win the tournament to get in as USC. Arizona State, another team. You're looking at them and you're going, okay, man, they're the five seed. Where do we have them ranked? 32-24. They just swept Texas Tech, which would have been bigger last year. Texas Tech is on the downfall. They're the 10 seed in the Big 12. Texas Tech's on the way out. They're not going to make the tournament this year unless they do something. Arizona State, hot right now, yeah, but they have some bad losses. They got swept by Oregon State. That's not a good season series for them. So they're going to have to figure out something. Now, if Arizona State does take care of business and they go out and they win two in pool play, they beat Oregon State, they beat Stanford. Okay, we're talking about this team differently. We're saying, okay, Arizona State, the Sun Devils probably in with 34 wins. Who knows? They probably most likely have to win the bracket though to make sure that they're in. Cal, the sixth seed. Now, Cal, Arizona State, and USC are basically tied. There's a half game separating them because of the USC not playing the third game against Oregon State. 17-13, 17-12. Cal's overall record, though, is 34-18. Their RPI is good. They played some really good ball. They swept Oregon State, who's the only really Q1 team in this whole thing. You got to be pretty happy if you're Cal when you look at that. You say, okay, they took care of teams. They lost some games they probably shouldn't have, being 17-13 in conference, but they did beat the teams that they probably were not supposed to beat in Oregon State, sweeping at home and being 34-18 overall. It's a good record. I have Cal in. Now, I know they're bubble. If they go 0-2 here, maybe there's a way to walk them out, but I think that you have to put four Pac-12 teams in. I think at least four. The bubble fifth would be if like Cal and Arizona State or somebody are playing in the championship game, or if USC gets there and can win it. That's pretty much it for as far as a bracket standing goes. So as bracketology goes for the big tournament, three guaranteed. Arizona's in, Oregon's in, Oregon State is in. There's no way that you're keeping those three teams out, even no matter what they do here. Oregon State most likely a host, being already at the 40 win mark. 41-13, it's really going to be hard to say that they're not a host team, and especially with the lack of West Coast host at this year, you'd be hard pressed to say that Oregon State should not be a host. Now, what they're playing for is that national seed. Now, if Oregon goes out and they win this tournament, you could put them in at 16. I could see it. I could see them hosting. I could see them hosting at PK Park in Eugene and having Oregon State and Oregon host would be awesome. It's really close. It's really close. And this Oregon team is hot. Mason Neville is just the hottest player in college baseball, hotter than Charlie Condon, hotter than Travis Bazzana. Mason Neville is Oregon Duck baseball, and he might be enough offensive firepower to keep them going. Jacob Walsh also, man, that team is on fire. So let's go through some of these games, though. So we're going to start with what's going on tomorrow. So tomorrow is all the lower seeds playing each other. So Cal and Washington, the 6 seed versus the 9 seed. Cal 34-18, Washington 19-29-1. They're going to play the evening game. Cal swept that series. This is an important win for Cal. Go out, take care of business, go get the win, and then you get a day off, right? So then they wouldn't have to play until Thursday. Huge game for Cal. I think that they got to go win this thing. Washington, only way to save its season being the 9 seed here is to go out and sweep. I don't see that. Washington hasn't had it put together offensively all year. They don't have enough pitching. I think that Cal is that team. If Cal goes out there and beats Washington, it won't surprise me, and I really believe that that helps booster Cal's opportunities to be into that talk where we say, hey, they should be in the tournament. That's really what it should come down to. Cal should probably be in. I have them in, but I know that it's going to be a national seed thing and how many people actually get in. And man, it'd be sad if the Pac-12 only got 3 in. I think it's 4 because of Cal. I think Cal is in, even though they finished 6th. They have a 17-13 conference record, and that 34-18 overall record and a good RPI. I like Cal being in. The next game, well, the mid-afternoon game, there's Utah and USC. Utah 32-21. They were playing for first place 2 weeks ago in the Pac-12. No joke. 2 weeks ago, they were playing Arizona to take over first place in the conference. They got swept by USC, who they now play in the first round, dropping all the way to 7th. USC jumped all the way up to 4th. USC 28-27 overall, but 17-12 record there in conference play. Utah was 16-14, not bad, but when you lose those 3 games in a row to USC, that's tough, 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 tough. I think Utah finds a way here. I think that after the season sweep against USC, they're going to go out and they're going to find a way here to win because they know that their tournament life and everything else is on the line. 32-21. 2 weeks ago, I wrote an article about how I think Utah's in. I was waiting till they got into the tournament to have this thing going. And man, I might have been too early. I love this Utah team. I love what they've done. I think Kai Roberts is just terrific there for these guys. I think that what Bryson Van Sickle has done on the mound for them is terrific. USC's getting Aoki back. USC's starting to hit the ball. USC's starting to play baseball. They're the team we thought they would be in preseason. They're finally showing up to be that team right now. I thought that they were going to make that turn once they beat Oregon State. They kind of did. It really did turn out their season to be much better. To go 17-12 in conference was huge, considering that they only had 11 wins outside of conference. I like Utah, though, in this first one. I'm taking Utah. I think it's an important game for Utah. I think they got to go out there and go get those wins. And this is one that they have to win to even put themselves in a chance of making any more runs. Stanford is the 8 seed, 20-32. They are playing Arizona State. Arizona State, again, we talked about them, 32-24. Arizona State won the regular season matchup with Stanford 3-0. They swept them. This Arizona State team has gotten hot. They played really well in their last Pac-12 series. They've gotten hot here late. They beat up on Texas Tech. They beat up on UNLV. The offense is there. The question mark for Arizona State, since they've had some pitching injuries, is pitching. It was pitching question marks before the season. They were already thin. Now they're they're anemic. They have nothing. So it's going to be really weird to see how close this team is. It's going to be interesting to see if Arizona State can do anything there for this team. So we're going to be questioning there. I think that Arizona State beats Stanford. I think that they continue the season sweep there of Stanford. I think that they go 4-0. I think that they do it with offensive firepower. I think Stanford kind of checked out a few weeks ago and has never really made their way back here. So I really do believe that this one is all Arizona State. I think that Arizona State offense starts off the morning here for these guys, and I think that they just roll, and then they get that day off and play Thursday against Oregon State. All right, so now we move on to Wednesday. This is when we bring in those top seeds, right? We start seeing those guys come in here. It's going to be hot. Going to be hot, hot, hot. 100 degrees plus is what we're looking at. Now, the morning games, not so bad. Oregon State is the road team at Stanford. That's how this bracket works out, that the best teams in those face as a road team in those games. So they're at Stanford. Of course, Oregon State, 41-13 overall. They got Travis Bazana. They're going to have Aiden May. They got Jacob Kmatz. Eric Segura has been great as of late. The pitching staff gave up almost no runs to Arizona, and still they lost that third game. But I like the way Oregon State is playing right now. They might get some healthy people back. We're hoping that they get AJ Lattery back, hoping that they get Trent Caraway back, get some more innings. Dallas Macias hopefully get healthy. These are important things for the Beavs. Now, Mason Guerra also started getting healthy, and he had a little dinged up there for the third game he didn't play. Guys are going to get healthy. Guys are playing right here. Now, what can Bridger Holmes do? That's been the question mark, right? Got to figure out what we're going to do at closer there for Oregon State because they're having a hard time. They brought in Joey Munt in that game against Arizona. He gave up the hit. No fault to any of these guys. I think they're all terrific pitchers. We just got to figure out something that can close that door. But yeah, I think Oregon State playing Stanford, they took 2 of 3. I know that third game got really chippy. Stanford had something that they wanted to go out there and prove, and they had 2 guys ejected at Goss because of the way they handled themselves. I think that Oregon State knows that they're playing for a national seed, so they have to go win. Now, this one's not the must-win game unless Stanford somehow beats Arizona State. But Oregon State wants to go win these games. They want to go 2-0 in pool play and really push the needle there and get themselves closer to that national conversation. I like Oregon State in this one here in the morning. I think that they go out and take care of business. I think that if Oregon State goes with Aiden May on Wednesday, he's ready. He'll be good. He threw Thursday. He threw 6 innings. I think he's the guy, right? I think that we go on him and try to go get that Stanford win. Oregon is 37-16. They're the 3 seed. They play Utah. Now, I did pick Utah to beat USC in that first game. Utah at 32-21 going up against Oregon. Oregon is 2-1 against Utah in the series. I really like Oregon here. I think that they're hot. I think that this Duck team has been playing good baseball down the stretch. I think they have the pitching. I think they have the full staff to be able to make a real tournament run here. And again, Mason Neville has given this team something it didn't have. And in the 2-hole, it's going to be crazy, right? It's going to be insane to see what happens. I just don't know what's going to happen here with this one. I think that Oregon does go out and win this game. It's going to be interesting to see here. But we're going to find out more about these games here, moving in here. I think Oregon takes care of business, though, and I think they beat Utah even as much as Utah needs to win this one. I think Oregon really has a chip on their shoulder. They want to be kind of in that national conversation for a host team, but they want to for sure lock themselves into this tournament and possibly as a 2 seed at least with a couple wins there. The Ducks, I feel like they're the hottest team in the West Coast maybe right now. Santa Barbara has an argument there, so does San Diego, but I believe that the Ducks right now are playing some of the best baseball on the West Coast. I got to see them live last Saturday against Washington State, and the offense and pitching, they don't do anything but impress you. I mean, they show up, they do all the little things. Like I said, Walsh has been struggling as of late, but I think that he has the ability to get going again. And then him and Neville, man, that's a tough combination there for anybody. Nobody wants to face those two currently. It's like Bazana and McDowell. Nobody wants to face those two currently either. The third game that day is Arizona at Washington. Okay. So Arizona 33-20. Washington, of course, is the 19-29-1 overall. Arizona lost the season series to Washington. I know a lot of people probably didn't see that. Arizona is going to have to figure something out. I know that they won the Pac-12 regular season title. They really struggled though in those last 3 games against Oregon State. And if Washington wants to do anything, this is it, right? They got to beat Cal on Tuesday, which I don't think they'll do. But then they got to beat Arizona on Wednesday. It's a no-win situation for Washington. They got to go out there. They got nothing left, right? They have to win the tournament if they want to get into the big tournaments. They have to win the Pac-12 tournament. I think Arizona takes care of business, but it wouldn't surprise me if Washington could sneak up on them and actually get a game from these guys and go win that one. Washington might be just, the dog against the wall there. They're back trying to figure out anything they can do to stay alive. If Washington beats Cal on Tuesday, I actually like Washington to beat Arizona on Wednesday. So if they can go out there and figure out a way to beat Cal on Tuesday, I think that they're going to go out there and take care of Arizona on Wednesday. I think whoever wins that Tuesday game between Washington and Cal, I think they're actually going to beat Arizona and knock Arizona down. Now, that would be huge for the rest of the tournament for everybody else, but I think that one of those two teams really does take care of business, and it might be. I think I'm leaning towards Cal, but if Washington can beat Cal on Tuesday, if they can beat them tomorrow, watch out for this Washington team to come out with all fists thrown, man. They know that they have to win the thing to get in. So it would not surprise me if they're doing anything in their power to go out there and win that game. And they have the offensive ability. They didn't show it this year at all. They really didn't congeal. They didn't show up together. They didn't hit at the same time. They didn't hit together. It would take a miracle for this team to do something like this, being the 9 seed and having, 10 games under 500. It's not out of the realm of possibility though. It is in the realm of possibility still. Thursday. These are the important ones, right? These are the ones where like everybody's like, okay, these are the teams that are the top 6 teams in the Pac-12. They're really battling for spots in the postseason. What do we see going here? Well, Arizona State, 32-24, is playing at Oregon State, right? So these games are all in Scottsdale, but we switched the home team. So the higher seed gets the home team against the medium seed. So Arizona State, 32-24, Oregon State, 41-13. Oregon State swept Arizona State in the season series. It was at Goss, but they swept it, right? I think Oregon State wins this game. As hot as Arizona State has been and as good as they've been, I think that Oregon State takes care of business, goes out there and wins this one. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, but I do believe that I do believe Oregon State takes care of business and gets into the semifinal with the win here. Too much, right? So even if Wednesday, if they decide that they want to go with Jaron Hunter and hold back May for this Thursday game against Arizona State, it wouldn't surprise me, especially if somehow if on Tuesday if Arizona State were to beat Stanford, then really the only game that would matter in that bracket for Oregon State would be beating Arizona State. So I could see them going Jaron Hunter, Connor. I see you. Connor throws that up there as well. I don't think we should go with May. I think Hunter can beat Stanford. Absolutely, Hunter can beat Stanford. Jaron Hunter's shown he's a postseason kind of guy. He was just a couple key pitches away from beating Auburn in that super regional a couple years ago. I do think that they have enough pitching. I think Oregon State's got enough starting pitching to really take care of business here. But a big one there would be, taking care of this one here against Arizona State. Oregon State, 41-13. I think that they do win that game there. I think it's just too much offense. They struggled a little bit there against Welty there for Arizona, but that dude's been one of the best pitchers in the country as of late, and going to 9-1, or he didn't win, but 8-1 in conference was just terrific in a sub 3.5 ERA. Pretty good, especially when you're talking about a guy that's a Sunday starter. I like Oregon State. They're going to the semifinals. Oregon is the home team against USC. Now, I already said I think that Utah takes that first one against USC, but if USC somehow can win that first game against Utah, they put themselves in a position, right? As a 4 seed, they've put themselves in a position, but they got to go win one of those games. They got to win one. Beating Oregon would be huge, right? So beating Oregon, massive. I don't think I see this one happening. Oregon did take the series against USC. I think Oregon wins. I think that 37-16. I think, like I said, Oregon's one of the hottest teams in the country. I think that they go out there and they take care of business, and I think that it's going to set up for this way to happen. I think that some way Oregon State and Oregon are going to meet down the road here. Now, when we look overall at this last game, Cal and Arizona. I already said it. I'm gone on the record. I'm going to go out there. I don't think that Arizona has a chance of winning this thing. I think whoever wins between Washington and Cal is going to beat Arizona. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, here's the thing: if Arizona beats the other one, they're in. Like they're in if they get one win. All they have to do is win one of these two games, and they are in no matter what because of seeding. Now, I do believe that Cal has the ability and the know-how and the all the gumption to go out and win this one. I think that they are the best team when you look out there. They have to win to get in also. So as the sixth seed, it's really hard. There's not a lot of avenues for them to be able to get in there. They'd have to have Utah win only one game, and it would have to be against USC. They'd have to have they'd have to look out and have Stanford beat Arizona State, right? And that's the way that they could get in. I don't see it happening. I really do believe that Cal's going to have to take care of business, and I think they do. I have Cal beating Arizona. So when you look at it overall there, I think Arizona does get a win, whether it is against Washington or Cal. Whoever doesn't win that game, that first game, Washington and Cal on Tuesday, I think the winner of that game goes on and beats Arizona and takes that pool. So when you look at the overall now we're moving on to Friday. So what it means for these teams, it's a massive thing, right? So we look at all these guys, and I look out and I say, who's going to go out there? It's going to be crazy, right, to see any of these teams out there. So when I look over at this bracket and I look at all the things that are going on there, it's crazy to look at everything and wonder what's going to happen here. So if you get the way that I think it's going to go, and I think that Arizona gets in by getting the one win against one of those teams, whether it's Washington or Cal, and the other one beats them. Cal's in. I'm going to take Cal. So I'm going to take Cal, Oregon State, and Arizona, just because the way that Arizona has it, they're probably in. Um, I think that however this plays out, if Cal takes that seed, then I believe that it switches over, and then it would be Oregon State playing Arizona again, and Cal and Oregon playing. I really think that this might be an all Oregon series at the end. I think it might be Oregon and Oregon State for that Pac-12 championship for the tournament championship. I love the way that Oregon Ducks are playing baseball right now, and Coach Mark Wazowski, he's got this team playing. Man, Waz has this team believing in themselves. They're playing really good baseball. I know that they in the series they split 2-2 with Oregon State, and they've been hot. They've had some down times, they've had some mistakes, they've had some bad games. When the weather warms up for this team, and if they're playing at PK Park, I watch out, man. I think that this team has the ability to host. They're probably going to get sent out east. Yeah, Cal, I agree. More than likely, I think that Oregon Duck is going to get sent out there, and it's going to be crazy because I think that they're going to get sent somewhere east. I think they might go out to. Right now, I know that in D1 and other ones, they've been slated to play all over the place. They've been slated to play like North Carolina. I don't think there's a bad bracket for Oregon to be a two seed in. I would love to see Oregon host. I don't know if they're going to host, but they are one of the hottest teams in the country, and I believe that they do deserve to be a host. It's just going to be interesting to see what the rest of the country believes in this team and see what that committee thinks of with all of Oregon's non-conference. Now, Oregon did play some decent non-conference opponents, but not great when you look out there. Brock Moore. You think Brock Moore is going to roll out there and be a starter? All right. It wouldn't surprise me, but I think Oregon has so many arms that they could lean on really anybody out there. And Kevin Snyder had a great outing this Saturday against Washington State. RJ Gordon has been great all season for this team. I really do like what Oregon does with in the arms department. They're healthy. They're getting healthy on the offensive side as well. Man, I like Oregon. As much as it's tough to say as an Oregon State fan, but I'm an Oregon fan as well. So when those people like to jump at me, I say, hey, I like baseball. Big Pac-12 guy. Sad to see it be going, but here, I think that we're going to see an Oregon State final. Now, what pitching those two teams have by that point, this might be a slugfest going into it. After 4 games in a week, it's tough. Now I know that people say, "Oh, they always play 4 every game every week," but it's not against this caliber of opponent. It's not the same thing. And getting ready for that selection Monday is going to be interesting. I like what Oregon State's done. I think that they're the team to beat. I think that Oregon has also been playing very good baseball. I'd love it to see those two teams face each other and not have it be in the semifinals. Now, as it sits now, if Arizona holds off course and they win their set, Oregon State wins their set, and Oregon wins their set, then Oregon and Oregon State play each other as in the semifinals. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I do believe that if that happens, the winner of that game is going to win the Pac-12 tournament. All right, and as we break down the last bit of it here, it's the final Pac-12 tournament. It's the end of an era. It's a century of baseball. It's a century of sports. It's the last Pac-12 championship that we're going to see in any sport. It's tough. It's been a tough week. I know I've talked to a lot of former Oregon State people. I've talked to a lot of former Pac-12 people, and it's sad. It's a sad thing to see this conference go away, especially with the baseball history that we've had, especially with all the national champions. We've had more national champions than any other conference. It's tough when you look at it that way and you say, hey, in the last year of the Pac-12, they might only get 3 teams in the tournament. It's kind of a shame. I'm pretty sad about that. I believe 4 teams get in when I talk about it overall. I know that I'll be live on that Selection Monday with College Baseball Central all day. Here's the thing. I think that 4 teams get in. I think that it's for sure Oregon State, and Arizona. They're for sure locks. They're in the tournament. No need to worry there. I believe right now Oregon State is a lock to host. I believe that Oregon State is a host no matter what at this point. Now, being a national seed, I think they have to win this tournament to get the national seed. I think that they're going to have to go out there and show something else to be able to get that national seed. But yeah, I think that those 3 teams are in. I like to lean on Cal. That record that Cal has, the 34-18, the good RPI, the really decent record in conference play of the 17-13. I know we talk about other conferences like the ACC, where all they have to do is go 500. We talk about SEC, all they have to do is get 13 wins, which is just crazy to me that they can be 13-17, and that's a good thing. Well, Cal got the 17 wins in conference, and I know last year the committee held USC out with 17 wins, which was the first time ever that a Pac-12 or Pac-10 team with 17 wins was held out of the tournament. And I don't like the direction the committee's going. Now they got what they want. There's no Pac-12 anymore. It's fine. But I do believe that Cal is in. The question mark is, what do you do with Arizona State and what do you do with USC? USC has to win it, in my opinion. The 28-27 mark is just not good enough. I think that they have to go out there. They have to win this tournament. I don't know if they're going to be healthy enough. I don't know if they got enough in the tanks to go out there and win that one. I know that they swept that last series there against Utah, which was just massive for USC to get their seeding where they are and to jump up into the 4 seed. Here's the thing: if they go beat Utah on Tuesday, it puts themselves in a great spot. Then they just need Oregon State to just take care of business, and they're pretty much in. They're locked in as that 4th team, as long as somebody else doesn't go 2-1 in one of the other brackets there that's lower seed. Arizona State, it's going to be interesting here because Arizona State has to go win some ball games. I think that they got to beat Stanford. I don't think they have to beat Oregon State, but they're going to be a bubble team there at 33-25 if they go beat Stanford and lose to Oregon State and don't get into the semifinals. They're kind of a dark horse, though, to win this thing with how much their offense has been. Their offensive firepower has just been unstoppable, especially in the state of Arizona at home. They've been really, really good. I don't know, though. I really don't know. I think that the seeds play out, though. I think Arizona's the number 1 seed, and I think they're in the most trouble. And they got Cal and Washington, which kind of sounds funny. You're saying, oh, man, that's the team that's the most trouble. Oregon State has Stanford and Arizona State. Not fun, but I think that they played so well against those 2 teams that they have that history. They're feeling good about themselves right now. They're playing good baseball, and they know what that's on the line for Oregon State, and that's a national seed. Arizona's in either way. I don't feel like they're going to host. I don't feel like they're going to be a national seed. I don't think no matter what they do with only those 33 wins, it's really tough for me to say that they're going to be a host. Unless somehow Arizona goes 4-0, they're not hosting in the conference. They're not hosting. They're not in that conversation. Oregon has a better chance at hosting than Arizona does by a long ways. But I do believe that it is going to be Oregon and Oregon State. One of those 2 teams is going to win this tournament. I'm big on that. So join us. I'm going to be giving you guys updates every single night on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. I'll be doing updates to let everybody know how all these teams did. Comment in, come see us, College Baseball Central. We are everywhere. We're covering ACC, SEC tournament. I'm going to be having the Pac-12 and the WCC tournament, which is in Vegas this week. Come join us. Come ask all the questions. Feel free, shoot me a message. Go out and watch the YouTubes there and jump in and let us know. Comments, we love it. Come after us and give us some comments so we have some stuff to talk about. So thanks again for joining me here on the West Coast, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night.